I'm here at CES in Las Vegas with my special guest, Kim Java, and we're going to tell you everything that happened in the world of electric cars in the last couple of days, the news, the unveilings, the rumors, as always, and we'll take questions from you, my live audience, and we're going to start right now. Welcome to E4 Electric. As I mentioned, I have an amazing guest. Kim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first time at CES.
And what are your thoughts so far?
It's a bit overwhelming, but it's amazing. I feel like I've seen so much in such a short amount of time.
Well, let's run down everything that happened because there were some unveilings, there was some news. I'm gonna kind of run us down one by one, and you let me know what your thoughts are, especially as a newbie here. This is my 5th year, and we're coming back from pretty much COVID restrictions and stuff like that, which means lines to the bathrooms, traffic, high Uber rates. So I miss COVID just a little. I have to admit. So okay, so let's start with VinFast. So you actually got to drive it just a second ago.
Yeah. So yesterday I drove the VF8, which was amazing. I loved it.
And now they've announced that they unveiled them about a year ago, but they've announced that they're actually going to make them and actually deliver both VF6 and VF7 by the end of the year here. So they have 4 models by the end of the year. The VF6 is going to have about 200-ish miles of range. They're not doing EPA ratings yet. And then the VF7, which is a little bit bigger, is going to have 230 miles of range. We're trying to convert. Now, the reservations are they're going to start taking them in March and then deliver at the end of the year. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, nobody even knew about this company just like a year ago.
It's kind of crazy. I feel like it's just been one of those like up-and-comers that just popped up out of nowhere, and now everybody is talking about them. Such a cool company. I think they have a lot going for them. The test drive was amazing. It drove really, really well. I'm also super excited about the VF9 because that is a 7-seater. I have kids. I'm always looking at like the bigger SUVs. But it's amazing. I think that for a lot of people though, because they have 5 vehicles coming out all at once, it's kind of, well, I guess they're not all coming out, but they're announcing and talking about them. So for the average consumer, it's a little bit confusing the way that they're doing that. But
at least they're numbered.
At least they're numbered.
Yeah, at least they're numbered.
But then you're like, wait, was that the 9 or the 8?
Yeah.
Or
they'll get used to it. I think the biggest thing was Vietnam. We don't know about Vietnam as a country that is known for making cars. But when I was there, I got to tell you, there were a lot of VinFast. They were making gas cars until this year, right? There were a lot of VinFast cars just on the street. So they made them before. I'm just excited to see how they're going to do here.
Yeah, no, I do think they're going to do really well. And, before they were talking about kind of like that whole battery swapping technology, it looks like now they're not really going to do that, at least not start out that way, they said. When I was talking with them yesterday, but it's just been really interesting to learn about them as a company.
Yeah. All right. So now another company, and as a matter of fact, thank you to Togg for hosting us at their booth. Yes. And I'm going to make a separate video about this booth. This is the most interactive booth. I have a digital twin now. I have my own personalized music, but we'll make separate videos about it. So Togg is another company from Turkey, or Turkiye, as I was supposed to pronounce it, Turkiye now. That nobody kind of so common, but now they got the factory, they got the car, pretty much in production now. What did you think when you ordered?
Well, like you said, I learned 2 really important things here: that it's not Turkey, it's Turkiye, and that it's not actually a car. It's a smart device.
It's a smart device.
It's a smart device. So today, while we've been here I've learned a lot because, first of all, they don't actually have the vehicle here. So it's really about that that whole ecosystem behind them and their app and the TrueMore and kind of where they stand in the metaverse.
Yeah, and they're calling it a digital garden, right?
Yeah.
And we have some Turkish,
Yeah.
not on the
Cheers.
keyboard. There you go. It is actually very delicious.
Mhm.
All right, so we both have videos about Togg
Yes.
already on our channel. We're going to do one more about the experience we had here. Let's move on to the next one, and this one's supposed to be the biggest one that I thought was going to happen, because Ram was going to unveil a huge all-electric truck. They were bragging how this is going to be better than everybody. You know, during the unveil, they took some shots at Tesla and GM. You know, and now they've unveiled it, and it looks like it's a concept, and it looks like it's there's me with the CEO of Ram, who was smiling for not knowing what we're going to just about to talk about it, but you know, it's a concept. It's coming out in 2024. There were no specs really were unveiled, except for it will go around 500 miles. We don't know, maybe 200 kilowatt plus charging, and that's it. Now, I do have to say that they have like little Roomba, you know, the vacuum cleaner thing like that goes underneath and charges
That's
it.
cool.
If it's going to make it to market, right? So, what are your thoughts on that? Are you disappointed?
You know, it's hard to say. I feel like they're sort of promising the moon with it. Like, there's so many. I mean, it looks amazing. Yeah, it can do like, you know, everything from like the saloon style doors. It has the little sensors on it, which every car maker, Tesla's tried to do. You know, those have never actually made it to market. So I kind of feel like we're all talking about it because it is a concept and it has all these amazing things, but I'm curious what will actually make it to market.
I bet the Roomba is not making it. I bet the suicide doors are not making it. But I you know, I just kind of a little too late, almost 2024. You know, F-150 is on the market right now. Cybertruck's going to be by the end of the year. You know, we got Rivian, Lordstown Motors. I was actually riding in that truck yesterday. We'll talk about it in just a second. But I have to say, I'm a little bit disappointed. There was a lot of bragging going on and not much of an action. It's
beautiful, though.
It is beautiful. That's what I thought Cybertruck would look like, actually, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, and by the way, it's called Ram 1500 Revolution BEV concept. I don't understand which revolution they're talking about. Revolution is usually change. This is more of like...
Well, for them, it's changed.
Well,
this is their first electric truck, so
that's a good way of looking at it, I guess. Okay, so let's move on. Now, the next one is Volkswagen ID7. Now, I staged actually my own protest at there because my ID4 has been breaking down so much. I'm going to make a video about that, but I decided, there you go, to have my own protest there. But they've unveiled an ID7, and once again, by unveiled, I usually means that it's, you know, uncovered. You can see it. You can't see it. It's camouflaged.
Yeah.
So we don't really know. Also, no specs. They say that 700 kilometers in WTP European standard. So if you convert it to miles and then convert to EPA, we're talking about 350 miles or so. And production is I don't think they've even mentioned when it's going into production. So they just said that we are making it.
Yeah.
I like sedans, you know, but I got my own beef with Volkswagen right now. Well, what are your thoughts on this?
So I haven't even had a chance to go see this one yet. This is on my list. Hopefully I'll go see it later tonight or tomorrow. Again, I just need to see it for myself. So it's, you know more than I do on this.
Actually, I don't. It's funny you mentioned that because I couldn't see it because it had electrical problems because, you know, it was raining and they had electrical problems and they had to shut it down. Which my ID4 also had electrical problems for the last several weeks.
That's not good.
So we see a theme here, right? I just thought ironic. Where's Alanis Morissette when we need it, right? Okay, let's move on. And this one actually made a bigger splash than this year than the last couple of years because Sony has brought their car every time for the last 3 years, so 4 years, I guess now, minus COVID. It was called Vision S now. They brought it again. There's a couple of changes. First of all, the name is going to be a Fila.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Vision S better. What do you think?
You know, it's new to me because I've never been at CES before and I haven't really followed a lot of these up and coming cars before. So I'm kind of seeing it. This is my first time actually seeing it in person.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. You know, it has a lot going for it. If they actually make it, it'd be amazing. And I thought it was cool that it's with Honda. I didn't realize, maybe that was common knowledge out there, but I didn't know that it was a...
Well, that's the big announcement, right? They basically said that, okay, well, we're not going to make our cars ourselves. You know, we make TV sets, but we're going to do it with Honda. So Honda's going to get a benefit of having all this amazing technology from Sony. in there, and we're going to have a benefit of Honda
Right.
figured out how to make an
Well, I think
electric
it's
car.
really smart because one of the things like I've been wondering about with Honda is like, where's their electric vehicle? Why aren't they like, they've been such this iconic car maker for so long, but you know, what are they doing? Well, now it kind of makes sense that they're working with Sony.
Now, the reason we're not talking about specs, even though they released them, is because it's not going in production until 2026, and that we already know from being in the industry for a while. The specs don't really matter.
It's very concept-y right now. Like you're like, okay, this looks amazing, but you know, let's see the real thing.
Yeah. Now let's move on to something that is really not on the display, but I had a test drive yesterday with Lordstown Motors, the company that I never thought would make it to market. But they actually made a few different interesting moves. They have a new CEO who's been on my show a couple of months ago. But I actually drove the damn production car, and they've delivered a few of them already with the Lordstown Motors. It's the interesting thing is it has very little tech in it that's flashy. It's literally for someone who's working a construction job with the gloves on, and just wants to get from point A to point B. But it's here. I drove it. I have to say that I also like the way it looks. I could see a Cybertruck looking that way. A lot of concepts that were released before the Cybertruck was released. Did you ever think that this was going to happen?
I didn't know much about it. It's kind of like one of those brands for me that's sort of like popped up that I'm just hearing a lot more about recently. But it looks great. I'm definitely going to go check them out, later today or possibly tomorrow. So can you tell me a little more about your drive?
So I got to tell you, it was just the regular truck. I think it rode maybe a little bit softer than F-150 Lightning.
Okay.
But it just drove like a truck, and it had everything that I needed. I had in front of me, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy. The mirrors were normal. But I think if somebody who's just trying to do a job, it will be perfectly fine.
Have they released all their specs on it yet?
Yeah. So it's about 200 miles. So they have hub motors in each wheel.
Okay.
So that's the big thing for them, right? And they've designed everything themselves, which is kind of like including their software, So and they're delivering it. Now they're making it the factory they bought from GM, and then sold it to Foxconn. That's now basically is making it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also making the Monarch tractor there in the Indy EV, and they're literally two booths down.
Okay, I'm gonna go check that out next.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to Mercedes. Did you check out their amazing booth over there?
Yes.
Now, of course, the front and center is the EQXX. So I didn't drive it yet. I'm going to drive it on Saturday, so I can't really say. But concepts they all drive the same. They all drive like a horseless carriage, honestly. But it is a beautiful car. They're promising a ridiculous range and everything. So we'll see. But nobody knows this. But Mercedes has more electric car models than any other brand. They have 7 and a van. So somehow they're keeping it a secret. But I counted honestly last night. It's 7, which is, who would have thought? Mercedes.
Yeah.
Now another thing that they announced is they're actually going to be building their own fast charging network in cooperation with ChargePoint, which is a little funny because ChargePoint has not, after 10 years of an existence, they don't have one of their own. Now they're saying it's not going to be just the Mercedes drivers. It will just be for everybody. Of course, Mercedes drivers are going to be a little bit, but it is going to complement the other charging networks. Do you think we need another charging network from a brand?
I mean, if it makes it work better and they're putting some money into it, possibly it could be a good thing. But I don't know. It's still going to be ChargePoint, right? ChargePoint with Mercedes. So I guess I'm kind of curious how that's all going to work out. I want to see it.
Well, I want to see too. They're going to start building them by the end of the year. So we have quite some time to form an opinion about it. Honestly, I'm also kind of let's see.
We'll see.
All right. The last on my list is BMW. Did you check out their color changing car over there outside yet?
I still need to see that one, but I've heard a lot and I saw a bunch of stuff on.
Yeah. So they came up with a concept that I think it's called iVision D. And it changes colors. But this time around, they brought their i7 and they brought a few other ones. Because they have a pretty decent lineup. They have 4 models now. Now, obviously, this is a concept, but the whole thing is that it changes color. It can actually express moods. They could be happy, could be sad. So probably will need its own therapist at some point if it can feel, But now I gotta say, like, this concept is great. I mean, your car can change the color. Tomorrow, let's say your husband is driving
Yes.
it, and it's black, but today you're driving it, it's silver.
I mean, it sounds amazing, but I feel like it's so concepty. Like it will never actually get made.
Really?
Like that. You
I'm
think?
kind of I'm a bit of an optimist on this one because it is something that we've this is the technology that's been kind of developing over the last 10 years. I can see it making it. It looks much better than last year. Last year it looked kind of weird,
Okay. Well,
but this year it does look like an actual paint.
okay.
And I think there's so obviously if they're going to get it all the way to a perfect version, you'll be able to write whatever you want in your car. If you won't have to flip
Yeah.
people off anymore. You can just write the message to the car behind you. No, but it's true. So I know it's BMW, so I don't know if technology is literally their thing, but so anything else, by the way, that you saw at CES that
I'm looking at a lot of like the bigger SUVs, like cars for families that would work. So, I've just been taking a look at like the Volvo and, taking it all in. Like I said, this is my first time here and it's so overwhelming. There's so much and everything starts blending together at some point where you're like, wait, which vehicle was that I saw? And you're trying to like make sense of it all. So there's just been a lot. There's been a lot. It's been really amazing.
Well, you know what? Let me get your opinion about it. Now, Guchla Luch is an excellent username. It says the current BMW grille makes it look like a gopher. Now, I personally think it looks like a monkey butt. Those monkey. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Do you know anybody who enjoys the BMW's?
No. So I don't like it really when like you take an electric car and they put like a fake grill on it.
Yeah.
I just think I'm just like over that whole grill look. Like why put that on there when it's an electric car? And BMW definitely looks like a monkey butt.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Someone else also agrees with it. The melody of 1974 says baboons. That's right. I guess they're monkeys, right? Baboons. They're monkeys.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Now another thing, and then I guess this is a question for me. People asking me what happened to my ID4. I'm gonna tell this in a separate video, but bottom line is this: did you have a good Christmas, by the way?
Great.
What did you spend it with your kids and your husband, your family, with gifts and increase?
Yes.
See, I spent it by myself in four walls because my ID4 broke down, and we wouldn't be able to fix it. And not only that, they forced me into actually doing that like they promised the over-the-air update, and then finally it's here. Well, it wasn't over the air. It was definitely in person, and it wasn't like Tesla. How much time does it take your Tesla to do an update?
It kind of depends, but it's fast usually. Like top like 90 minutes for like a big one, and then
Yeah.
it kind of depends.
Mine was 5 days, including Christmas. Yeah. So and I was like the first one. This dealership was like you're the first one. I'm like, I really don't trust their engineers, to do it in the first place. So they forced me into it. It's okay now. It's resting. I flew here from Houston. It's resting, taking its time. So that's what happened with my ID4. So and it's the second time.
Oh no.
And as a digital
So
nomad,
are you done now? Are you done with it?
well, what am I going to do with it? So what do you mean done? Yeah, I mean, like I'm unhappy with it. Well, what do you want me to like?
Like something else. Like we're here looking at all these different cars. Like what's next?
I mean, Mustang Mach-E is one I like. I also love the Mercedes EQS or the SUV version.
High
But
roller.
well, I think like a high roller, but I don't know if we'll see if I can afford it. I don't even know if I want to be driving through the country in that car. But it is beautiful inside beautiful. Not I don't know about the outside. So the concept looked great. That's why it's in my intro every time, right? There's me cleaning a Volkswagen ID Buzz that
I
was
did see
there.
the ID Buzz over there.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was
What do you
really
think?
cool to see. I love it. I love that whole retro design. My parents, when they were younger, my mom, I have these pictures of her in like her old Volkswagen van doing road trips across the country. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to get one of these and do that with my kids. And I love it. But it's still like concept-y. So like I felt like they didn't really have everything inside of it when I was checking it out.
So out of everything we covered, and we haven't covered a lot of things. There was a Peugeot there, the Vision. Did you see that one?
I didn't get to see that one.
There's
yet.
a Dodge Challenger that's kind of a one-off, but it's like it made a big splash at SEMA and stuff like that. With everything that you've seen, is there one thing that you're like, wow, that was awesome?
I've actually really enjoyed learning about obviously Togg, where we are right now, and then also VinFast. I felt like those were like the two that were new brands for me that I learned about, and it's been really different. You know, they're not like the traditional like either the European automakers or the American ones now with Tesla. Is just like something new, and that for me is like my biggest takeaway is now that you know it used to just be we just hear about Tesla. Now there's so many different options that CES is really like this car show now.
Yeah. You know, it's weird. So I lived in California for 30 years, and now I'm traveling through, you know, the country, and it is unbelievable how much of a bubble I was in. Like I'm in Houston. I was in even Austin before that, and there are not that many electric cars there. There's only one Electrify America charging station in the entire Austin. Thank you. We just got some sweets. Would you like some? Here you go.
Okay.
It's to go with our tea. Thank you. And one Electrify America station and only one EV Go station in an entire city of Austin, and I've seen almost no electric cars. And when I see them, they're Teslas. So
Yeah.
I can understand how people go like, oh, these electric cars will never make it, and they don't even think of electric cars. They just think Tesla. That's it, right?
Mhm.
Where I'm from is like everyone's got an electric car. Half of them are Teslas, half of them are not Teslas. We are way long. Well, like I did not realize how much we are
Yeah.
behind still on this.
So I think that's one thing for me because I live in Atlanta. So like, you know, Atlanta, it's pretty metropolitan in the city, but if you're driving around, you really see that it is mostly Teslas. You know, now there's some Rivians, but like there's a couple other electric cars sprinkled in there. So it's a different viewpoint that I definitely have, you know, and I'm also coming at electric cars as a mom. So I'm like thinking about them a little bit differently.
Yeah. Well, we have another question, and actually, this is an interesting question. Fire Dawn asks, any EVs for budget folks? What would you recommend if someone is on the budget? By the way, let me tell you what I just found out. Do you know what an average car, just generally average car, costs nowadays in America? There's the average price.
What?
I thought it was like 22, 23.
Yeah.
It's $45,000.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. So the budget car, I'm assuming, would be under 30.
Yeah.
Now the complication is that the new year started, so the new tax credit, that's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
So what are the choices? So Chevy Equinox is
Yeah.
common. Okay. So then I guess it's Nissan Leaf, Chevy Bolt, right? What else am I missing? I feel like I'm missing one more. I mean,
you can go to like Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, but they're going to be more expensive. But it depends.
I think the only other choices are, well, there's, I think the choices are now on a budget are used EVs.
Yeah.
And there are actually plenty of them. Like,
Yeah.
for example, the first generation of Kia Niro EV and Hyundai Kona EV,
Yeah.
they're still very excellent cars. They actually get almost 300 miles of actual range.
Yeah.
And they're on a budget for
Okay.
sure. Yeah. I thought when I lived here in Vegas for a little bit, everything's very close. I thought of them buying an e-Golf. You
Yeah.
can get an e-Golf for like $10,000 with 10,000 miles. It gets 80,
Yeah.
90 miles of range, and you can fast charge it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
I
By
think
the-
our Uber driver today had a Ford Mach-E and he bought it used
Ooh.
and like,
Really?
Somebody
comments that Foxconn, a melody of 1997, Foxconn saved Lordstown for sure, which is true. But Foxconn that makes iPhones. Do you have an iPhone?
yes, I do.
Yeah. So your iPhone is made by but now Foxconn says, well, we're bored of making your iPhones. We want to make cars, right? Digital devices, since we're at Togg. And now they're making Lordstown because they got their factory, right? They're making their truck, but they're also making the Indy EV. And they're going to be making the Fisker Pear, right? And even the Monarch tractor. Did you see it over there?
I did see it. Yeah.
Pretty cool, right?
That's really cool. It's big.
Yeah, and it's completely 100% self-driving tractor, right? So, they are really like serious about it. And what do you think about a cell phone manufacturer coming in and making cars?
Well, I feel like that's sort of where everything's going because it's all tech. It's, cars are not just traditional automakers. They're tech cars. Oh, that's why we're here, CES. So, it kind of makes sense. I think they're all kind of everyone's trying to jump in and go that direction now. So to me, it's not that surprising.
I got to tell you, okay, so there's another comment that kind of goes along with it from Jonathan. He says, the upcoming Fisker is $40,000 and is made by Magna, which is a well-respected supplier. Magna's booth is literally 2 doors down over there, which is true. Magna actually makes, people don't know this, they actually make Jaguar I-Pace, which kind of flew off of our radar, even though it's been out there in a month. But you know what I noticed about the I-Pace? It hasn't had any real problems. Like no battery fires, no big recalls. Like Magna made it really, really good. And the funny thing is the guy who was in charge of sort of electrifying their production is now works for either Rivian or Lucid. I think Rivian, which, Rivian was a mess last year. So that's a good sign because Magna does a good. Foxconn, if they can pull it off, that's going to be major. That's why Indy EV, you know that Indy EV little car, I thought they would never make it. But as soon as they said, oh, someone else is going to be making our cars, like, oh, okay, that's going to work. What do you think about this? Anybody can start a car company almost and outsource the actual car.
I'm not sure. I guess, it's kind of like in any other industry, you can outsource things, but we'll see what actually ends up happening. Yes. Like I don't have too much of opinions yet because I just kind of, again, my first time here at CES, so I'm kind of taking in all this, and then there's so much hype on everything. Yeah. So you're like, okay, how much is just like are people just talking? Like what will really happen?
That is, I remember the first time we was CES, everything was possible, right? Yeah. We were so, I was going to say young, not that young really at that point, but like still full of hope, right?
And now you're jaded.
And I'm jaded because, first of all, you know which company I saw the first CES was Byton. And I was like, Byton, this is great. It is the only electrical company that actually went under. And I was like, oh man, just broke my heart. Yeah. So, okay. Philip here says, did I miss any Tesla bashing? Well, we didn't really bash Tesla.
We haven't even talked about Tesla.
We haven't talked about Tesla. We bashed Ram just a little.
Yeah, I did the Loop for the first time last
year. What'd you think about that?
That's boring company. Yeah. It was great. Honestly, it was like the fastest way to get here was like to hop on it over at Resort World, come over here, and it sounds like they have big plans for that.
It is an amazing experience that I don't think people talk about enough. So it's literally they drill the tunnels under Vegas. And I don't think people understand how difficult it is. After walking around for like 5 hours, my feet are killing me. My back is killing me. I am an old man. So for me to go like 20-minute walk to see the Sony car when I can just jump into a beautiful Tesla and go underneath and pop right over there.
And it's like seamless and it's fast. I'm actually working on a video about it while I'm here. But it was great. It was such a great experience. And it's such good marketing for Tesla because everyone's using it to come to CES. So even though they're not here, they're here.
They are here. You're right. Well, which brings me to a question. You are the artist formerly known as like Tesla Kim, right? And you changed it recently. I don't remember when.
So I changed it right after COVID. I took a break during COVID. I was pregnant. And then when I came back, I changed my name, which, probably is not the best advice for anyone changing their name of a YouTube channel and just kind of
I've done it. But
anyways, so I started as like Tesla because it was sort of an accident. My first video, I said like a million times. I was like, I'm just going to own this and, make fun of myself. And so we started the channels like Tesla. Didn't really realize we were starting like this whole journey into YouTube. At the time, I didn't really know very much about electric cars. I was just sort of learning myself and sharing that experience. And then, COVID hit and I was like, there's so many other vehicles out right now. I don't want to just be Tesla. So how do I kind of change that? And I was like, well, I'll just go with my name. It's always easier just to be who you are.
And you had your disappointments with Tesla too. Did that somehow affect you?
Well, that was also, I didn't want to just be associated with being a Tesla fangirl. Because I wanted to, when I was, when they did things that disappointed me, obviously they've had their challenges with customer service and things like that. And there's been several things. And also just the crowd around Tesla, sometimes you run into people that are so like tunnel vision with the brand that they can't see outside of that. So I didn't want to so much be associated with that. I still do really like Tesla. I love Tesla, as a car maker. But I didn't want that to be all I was.
How many electric cars do you have right now? What are
I
they?
have two. I have two right now, and I have reservation. So I have a Model 3 and a Model X. I'm on my third Model X.
Okay.
We have a reservation for the Cybertruck. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or
Who
not.
doesn't?
I know, but we have it out there,
Yeah.
and then we have two Roadsters that eventually.
Oh,
hopefully
that's
we'll
right.
get.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought. Oh no. Somehow I thought you bought a Rivian, but you did buy a Rivian.
I never bought a Rivian. I made
Yeah.
a couple of videos with them. We've been fortunate enough to have friends that have them. I didn't actually borrow it from Rivian. I've always gotten my vehicles from people I know, because then I feel like I can really get that honest opinion and share with you. Like if the roof cracks, like I can share that with you because I'm not, owned by Rivian.
That was quite a funny video. By funny, I mean sad. But all right. Well, here's an interesting question because you walked around Beyond because there's people have to understand how humongous this.
Oh, it's crazy.
Like every hotel has their own exhibition hall, plus the convention center that has how many halls? Northern, Central, West.
I'm just walking around
Yeah.
in circles
Right.
because I'm like, wait, where am I going? I'm trying to use their app. Sometimes things are not popping up in the app, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what convention hall am I at? Texting with friends to see where they're at. Like,
Okay, but I also walked around for a while.
Yeah.
Did you see Beyond cars? So because the melody of 1974 says anything other than EV sticks out as being cool
oh
at
my gosh,
CES.
there's so much stuff here. So much stuff. There's a lot of home stuff. There's like, I saw a bunch of drones. I saw a solar range extender that was really cool.
Okay.
I mean, there's just been so much. It's kind of like, it's hard to take it all in. There's, there were all these like massaging chairs I saw at one point, and like, I mean, it's everything you could possibly dream of plus more.
Yeah, I have to say that like there's just so many. I don't know if there's one thing that I was like, oh my god, right? This year, usually every year there's at least one or two. There are a bunch of boats here now, by the way,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And there's a humongous truck that's all electric. I've seen some just things that are a little bit more useful than like I saw a pair of earbuds with the case is a little solar panel, so it just charges with the sun. Well, it doesn't have to be the sun. It could be like any light, really.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't actually have to be under the sun to
Yeah.
get it charged, and it's always charging. So I thought it was kind of quite useful. A lot of I've seen some beauty products that are actually
Yeah.
kind of cool. There's some adult products that even, believe it or not, they're advertising here, which
Well, there's another convention going on at the same time as this convention, so you kind of have to be careful.
I wasn't going to mention that, but since you know it, but yes, that is true. There is another convention in town, and every time everybody sees each other and goes
They're
like,
like, which badge do you have?
yeah, which badge you have? Yes, right. Which one is gold? But actually, I got to say that's the industry that a lot of innovation has started.
Yeah.
If you think about, for example, live streaming, right? Webcams, online payments, right?
Okay, I'm gonna
And-
start like blushing if we keep going with this.
No, but it's true, right? So, but unfortunately, I don't have any passes to that. I mean, just even thinking about this whole and a smart cities whole,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that they're not blowing our minds, but I think they're improving things. Like,
Yeah.
for example, smart home, a lot of times it's about privacy, right? That's
Mhm.
great that you get everything connected, but the fact that your neighbor can steal your webcam
yeah.
feed, that's bad, right?
Right.
So, so a lot of kind of improvements to things that have already existed, but just need to make that one or two steps forward to actually be useful or affordable to people. But other than that, I'm just kind of thinking that if you think about it, even the electric car pavilion is not exactly blowing my mind with
Yeah.
everything, right? I do have to say, like, we're in Togg's booth.
Yeah.
I do like their concept about really just going out there and selling. It's like we don't even want to call it a car,
Yeah.
right? What do you think about that, by the way? Like, don't call it a car, call it a smart device.
Well, it's hard because I keep going back to naturally wanting to call it a car. But in a lot of ways, it is a smart device, so it does make sense. A lot of these up and coming electric vehicles, it's no longer just about, okay, we're electric, right? Like there's so many electric cars out there. You can't just be electric anymore. You need to be more than that. How are you connected? And what is your ecosystem like? And so I think with Togg, that's their focus here, is saying, okay, we're not just a car, we're a smart device, and this is how we're connected, and this is how we're going to connect you and make your life better. And so that's what they're doing, which nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
Nobody else is really like showing you that connection into your life and the metaverse. Like their focus, like we're all here and they're way out here, like already thinking about the future so much with everything.
Well, the next question kind of goes with what you just said from Anthony. Who had the coolest booth? Now, people have to understand, we could not possibly physically walk through everything.
Yeah.
It will probably take 2 or 3 or 4 days of just walking and walking and walking.
Yeah.
I think we are at one of the coolest booths because, you know, there's a couple of things that I liked about it. You can actually create your digital twin, and we're gonna make videos about it, guys. You will actually get to see
us dancing.
Yeah. Yes, I did the dancing too. Yeah, I
making a fool out of ourselves.
I love embarrassing myself. That's no problem. So you create mine was like this kind of a hairy monster.
Yes, that was mine.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
So and basically whatever you do in that booth, that monster.
But you're watching the monster while you're dancing, and you're like, oh, my monster looks cool, and then you're like realizing at some point that like you might not look cool while you're.
Yeah, I didn't. But another booth that I thought I probably didn't give it enough credit at first. You get into this kind of a car that looks more like your little kind of a living room, which is essentially what the car is going to be like. And then they're like, well, would you like to drive through the street of this, or would you like to listen to techno? I was like, sure, I'll drive through the streets of, you know, this country and I'll listen to techno. And as I was driving through it, I realized that those streets have been created by AI algorithm just for me, and the music was playing just for me. That's it. After that, the next person gets their own unique experience.
Yeah, because I was in Mars. I was like in the solar system.
Oh.
So I was like totally different. That was really cool. It's like you go through this tunnel and you're like, you want like a calming experience or an energizing experience, and they ask you like a bunch of questions, and then they create this whole experience. It sort of reminded me of like in Epcot in Disney World, like there's like some futuristic things. I don't know, but then
it is kind of Disney World. You're right.
Yeah, it's sort of like you're going on a ride.
Yeah.
So it's a cool experience. It's hard to fully explain it to people that are not here in person because it's really different. It's different than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, and we both took a lot of footage. We'll try to explain it, right?
We both have videos coming out about it, and I think if you watch those videos, you'll be like, okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah. By the way, guys, if you haven't subscribed to Kim's channel, I put the link in the description of this video, like right now. Why am I looking at this camera? Because I'm used to Zoom meetings. I should be looking at that camera. I would be doing it for 6 years. So, yeah. So the link is in the description of this video. Check her out, and she already has. And she already has the lights, the camera, the microphone. Did not give it away for them. Like they did not think.
I know.
Was
we're live,
yeah,
so
we're
you know
live.
people just walk by, and that's you know.
So okay, well, this is more of a nerd question here from J Fox. Any news about solid-state battery at CES? I mean, I haven't seen that much, right?
No one's really talking about that. It's not been a...
Yeah. So the I forgot the name every time. I interviewed their CEO a few months ago. The QuantumScapes. They seem to be on the kind of a cutting edge, probably the leader. And even when I talked to him, I said, well, okay, in 3 years, when you guys are going to deliver this and this cars are going to be, how fast can we charge from 0 to 100? Like, I mean, I'm talking about 0 to 100. And he still said 15 minutes.
Okay.
Do you think that's enough?
I mean, it'd be nice if it was the same speed as like, a gas station. I think that's like the goal we all want to see eventually, right? But 15 minutes is not bad. Honestly, like people forget about charging times, but by the time you actually have to go, the range is getting so long that by the time you actually need to charge, like you need to stop for a second anyways, or you're just charging at nighttime. So I don't think that charging speed is as big of a deal as people put on it.
Unless you're on a road trip like me, but you're right.
But like 15 minutes would be great. Like half the time, like, you need 30 minutes to stop, go in, get a bite to eat, go to the bathroom by the time you actually...
That is true.
I know. I probably take longer because I have 3 kids, so we are all like doing our thing, but...
Now, when people ask me how long does it take to charge your car, you know what I say? 7 seconds. 3 seconds to plug it in, 4 seconds to take it out, because who cares what it is doing while I'm asleep? To me, I take 7 seconds out of my day to charge my car.
Yeah.
Is that reasonable?
I don't ever think about it. Like in my day-to-day life, I don't think about it. It's not like, and that's one of the benefits I think of driving an EV for all of us is that, you just do it while you're sleeping. You don't think about having to charge your car. The only time you think about it is a road trip. And then the range, has gotten so good on most of these vehicles that by the time you need to stop and charge, stopping for like 20, 30 minutes. And sometimes, you're not filling up completely. You're just doing like a short little like, okay, let me get just enough range to get to my destination, and then I'll charge it there while I sleep.
Yeah. I almost never charge it 100% because the last
and
10,
it takes
20,
forever. Yeah,
the last
little
one.
bit.
Let me show you something that I saw. I heard in an Uber. So I've been taking Uber, especially when my ID4 was broken, and I tried to order. It's called Uber Green, right?
Okay.
So a lot of times I get a Tesla, and I always ask them, "Hey, listen, what are the questions that people ask about the Tesla?" Because a lot of people get into them for the first time, right? And one of the interesting things, the guy yesterday, it was a Tesla Model 3, said people asking how many hours of driving do you get? Hours. Isn't that interesting? Because how many miles? It's a very vague answer, whatever your answer is, right? Is it EPA miles? Is it miles that you drive? What about the cold weather? Right now, everyone's, but hours is a much more interesting, because, he's an Uber driver.
Yeah.
So how many hours can you drive around? And I thought, what an interesting question that you and I probably never even thought about it in that way.
I mean, it's, I think about conditions, like you said, more, and how it affects that. So it's interesting, but I guess that's the average consumer. What they're thinking about is like, how many hours will I get to drive? They're not thinking about like, well, is it cold outside, or, do I have the fan going, the AC going? They're not used to thinking that way.
And they shouldn't, really. At the end of the day, you're like, our industry needs to figure out how to not bother people with this, right? Like,
but I came from I came from a background where I didn't really know anything about cars. I didn't know anything about tech, and I was just like your average stay-at-home mom, and I was able to learn about all this. So, there is that learning curve that I think all people can do, and it's actually pretty easy. So, but it's just getting there. It's just educating people about thinking about things differently.
How, by the way, tell me, how has your journey been from being, as you call it, an average, what you could say, average
stay-at-home
mom, to being a YouTuber, and now traveling around and doing these cool things?
It's kind of crazy. Like, I'm sort of like, I always have those moments where I'm like, I can't believe I'm here and I'm doing this. And I'm away from my kids, which it drives me crazy to be away from them. Okay. That's really hard. But again, I'm like trying to take it in, because this is such an amazing experience to be able to be here and seeing all these, amazing concepts and vehicles that I could only dream about. I feel very lucky. Like, I feel really, really lucky. Like, I don't know, somebody's looking out for me.
Yeah, it's been a weird journey for me too. Okay, so JW has an interesting comment. He says, a Togg, VinFast, Project Air, by the way, there's another one, Canadian. I didn't even get to them yet. It's a Canadian.
I haven't either.
OEMs are going to die. What do you I mean, I hear this a lot within our bubble.
Yeah.
That, all of these OEMs, they're done. Where from the outside of a bubble, people say electric cars will never make it, and they say it now in 2023. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I just think it's kind of dumb, personally.
Which one?
Like, I don't know, like the whole electric cars are going to die, like all that. Like, it's just old news. So.
Well, but like, I'm in Houston right now, and I see so few of them that I kind of understand that people are hearing, electric cars, Tesla, electric cars, but they're not seeing them, right? They haven't seen a charging station yet. They haven't seen a Volkswagen electric car or a Ford electric car, because they might have seen it but never known that it is electric, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, I also think it's silly to think that Toyota is going away, or Ford is going away, or even the oil companies are going away. Like Shell and Chevron are not going away.
Right,
they will provide our clean energy. They already started. They're buying up all of the charging.
Yeah.
So it's kind of silly to assume that. And yet both sides, we're so polarized in everything, including cars.
I think it's like anytime there's any kind of change or revolution, like people are like, oh, you're taking away jobs. It's like that whole thing, right? But it's like, no, you're just changing and you're creating different types of jobs. And it's the same sort of thing with all this stuff. Like,
you're
there's
almost
room.
off the screen. Switch up a little bit. I took a shower and everything before this. I don't stink too bad. Yeah.
There's room. I think there's still room for everybody, because there's still going to be people that want to have like the experience of having like an ICE car. They're going to want that. And, it might be like, people still enjoy going horseback riding for sport.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Jonathan says, who actually takes road trips? And then he says, besides Alex, I think a lot of people,
I do a lot of
right?
road trips. Yeah. I think once you have kids and if you live in an area that's kind of close to places, road trips are a lot easier, especially with like a big family. Like I do a lot of road trips.
Here's an interesting comment from Eric. And I had to think about it before bringing it on the screen.
Okay.
It says, Alex and Kim, any interesting vehicle to grid or vehicle to home products there at CES? Now, I haven't seen them. They're all kind of in the same area, which I didn't.
I haven't made it over there fully yet.
But what are your thoughts on that? Like, honestly, I know I'm in a minority here, and maybe I'm just not up on this, but I don't understand the concept of having your car. I can understand it will power your home when there's a power outage.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, what I do, I either sleep or, go to a restaurant or something like that. Besides the outages, like what possible scenario can it be for your car to be doubled up as a home battery?
I mean, I always think of it the same way you do, like a power outage or something, or you live in like, somewhere where they do like rolling outages and things like that.
But how? I mean, the amount of money you're gonna have to spend on just connecting and setting everything up. Is it worth not?
Or maybe
to have...
you're like going camping and you want to use your car battery to like power.
No, that's
something.
Different. Yes, but I'm talking about like actually like powering up the entire home.
Yeah.
I just beyond me, because to be also like I need my full battery to drive.
Right.
I don't want it to be And I think a lot of people, at least right now, when they buy a $80,000 F-150 Lightning, they also have money for just home battery.
Yeah.
So I don't quite get it. Somebody will have to explain to me at some point, but I don't.
I think I'm on the same page as you. Like I think of it the same way you do. It's just like that backup battery.
Well, Eric continues. He says that he lives in Texas. I technically live in Texas now because that's where I'm at. I've been there for like a month. I've been whole December actually, and I'm going to stay for at least 2 more weeks. I can't believe I'm saying it.
You're going to come to Atlanta.
I definitely need to come to Atlanta. But for right now, I'm really enjoying Texas. I never thought I would say it, but 30 years in California. He says, I live in Texas, so outages happen. V2H is interesting to me because of that. Now, I do have to say that as I got there and lost my car, it has like a really bad freeze. So and they're not ready there in Texas, right? So the water in pipes froze, so I had no water.
We had that going on
in
Atlanta too.
But a couple of years ago, power went out because of that, right? And it probably is going to happen again because it's, we don't.
So I got emails saying like during the holidays that the grid was like really overwhelmed and that they may be doing rolling outages for people. So in that case, having a vehicle that could potentially power up your house, would be nice to have if you were having rolling outages, or the power goes out, It's the same thing as like having that backup battery though.
Let's see. I'm just trying to also filter out some of the people asking you to give me an advice as a single guy, how to get a girlfriend and stuff like that. But let's try to keep it within cars. So I would love that advice. Don't get me wrong. Okay, Jonathan says, do you guys think that OEMs will lock battery range to get under the 80 grand federal credits? Oh, I see. So we're talking about the federal tax credits, which is still a kind of a mess.
Yeah.
And you know what I find out actually? I don't know. I don't even know why I brought up this question because I don't know the answer. Do you know the answer?
I don't know the answer to this. I was going to be like, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to talk about that stuff.
But it did remind me of something. So
my husband actually is pretty good.
Yeah. I know. I'm going to check on that. From what I understand, there's a loophole in that law. You know how there's exemptions of where the car had to be made, like the batteries had to be. That was a tough one. If you're leasing, leasing the car. I always lease. I never buy. If you're leasing the car, it falls under more of a business industrial part of that law.
Yeah.
So there's a loophole not to have that car be made, the battery be made and manufactured in the U.S. So if you're leasing, you can still get a $7,500 credit.
That's interesting. So we did that. My very first electric car was the Nissan Leaf, and I
did not know that. Really?
Yes,
Your
it
first
was. Our very
which
first. God, that was like 2012 or something. Like it was one of the first ones. So what it was is that we had some friends that told us about it, and they were like, you can basically get it for free if you lease it with the tax credit, and then it pays for itself with what you're saving in gas. So we did the Nissan Leaf, and we lived in the city at the time. We didn't drive, very far. So like it has like 100-mile range. You couldn't get very far anyways, but it was great for what it was. And it was kind of like our intro into electric cars. We wanted a Tesla, but we didn't want to spend Tesla money. And so we're like, let's see what, a Leaf is like. And, but then we got another lease and got the tax credit again. So we had it for like 4 years, basically for free.
The Leaf wasn't that cheap back then, right?
But it was basically, if you were able to get the tax credit, it was free. It like the way it worked out with you looked at what your monthly payments would be and like what the tax credits were, and to lease it for like whatever we did. I don't know. It was a while ago, right?
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, we did that for about 4 years. We should have started our YouTube channel then, because I think people would have been really interested in having a free car.
Well, speaking of your channel, Joe Mama, which is a great username. What's Kim Javla's channel? She got a channel. Yes, she does have a channel.
Yes.
It is in the description of this video. You should click and subscribe now. But you've pivoted just like we all pivoted, right? Tell everybody, what's your channel going to be like in 2023?
Okay, 2023, I think it's going to be a big year because I'm really looking to go full time with this, make more content, more videos. I started out really just focused on Tesla, like a lot of us did. But as this whole electric mobility market's grown, I want to focus on more EVs as well. But I have more of a family focus. Again, I have 3 kids, so I'm looking at the SUVs. I'm looking at how this works for your family. Would this be a good vehicle for you? I do some vlogs mixed in there with road trips, so you can actually see the full utility with a vehicle. There's a little bit of like up and coming current events as well that I like to cover if I find it interesting. So it's kind of a mixture of everything.
At first, when I was a huge Tesla fangirl myself, I watched the videos because we were like, then when I started to peel off, I think I started to get disappointed in Tesla earlier than you did, and probably in a bigger level. and then I kind of stopped watching the videos. I was like, but then I have to say, when I started watching again is when you started reporting on things, whether it's Tesla or not, that I didn't really know about. Like you would be the first one to report it, even though you're not a news person.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few times when you broke some news or revealed information that people didn't know about.
So there's been like some random. I feel like I've been lucky to make some connections with certain people, whether on Instagram or just in person, and they sent me leaks. I can't reveal my sources, but they've sent me certain leaks. So I've definitely, like, when I get those, I like to break those and like tell everyone about them. I was able to get some pictures of the Cybertruck out, the frame, which no one had seen yet. There's been a few things that I've been able to kind of break those news. And, I'm also on Twitter all the time and everything. So yeah, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, but YouTube is really like my bread and butter.
Here's an interesting one from user Yo Adrian. EVs are way too expensive. What do you say to that? And by the way, I'm wearing a calculator watch, so we're going to double check the numbers right now.
I've made quite a few videos on this comparing, and I think that a lot of people don't realize how much they're spending when they're paying for gas right now.
Are you saying Americans are not good with math, Kim?
I'm not that great with math, so yeah. It's, you can't classify everybody into one little group, but I think that if you were to look at how much you were actually spending on gas, on oil changes, on all of that, and then compare it to an EV, and I know for a fact, because I've made videos on it, that you would actually be spending less. And it depends on which EV you're buying. If you're buying like the Mercedes, like.
Well, yeah, if you're going from a Prius to a Mercedes, it's a little expensive. By the way, if we were freaking out, I call myself a Tesla fangirl, but I was just, they're not used to my sense of humor, I guess. But honestly, it's all about how you calculate things, right? Did you get the tax credit, right? Did you get the local incentives? Did you calculate how much gas, like for example, in California, the gas is still $6 a gallon.
Yeah.
In Texas, it's not, but in California, right? People don't realize that they don't have to spend on any money on oil changes or transmission fluid diversion or the tune-ups, right? That these cars last longer, right? Like how much value do you want to add to the fact that you can take carpool lanes? There's just so many things that you get that people somehow don't want to calculate. And they also
just the time you save too, because you're not stopping at a gas station, you're charging at night while you're sleeping. So time's money.
Yeah. So there's so many ways how people just think like price of the car,
Yeah.
that's it. But at the end of the day, it's really how much you're spending per month. And a lot of times I say, guys, do you really care how you distribute your money between the bank, the gas stations, and insurance company? Like, I don't think you do. It's just how much you're spending, and a lot of times it's actually quite much cheaper. Like, I have, as much as I pooped on ID4 today, and will continue to do so. You know, my charging is completely 100% free. It's unlimited charging for 3 years. So then I obviously don't have to do any tune-ups, and you don't either, right? I got $7,500 tax incentive plus the California one, and I have a carpool sticker and all of that stuff. To me, my car, I spend $400 a month on this thing. You know, it's got a massager built in.
Yeah.
It's well big. When it's on the road and it's functioning, it's an amazing car, I have to say. You know, it's only when it's at the dealership that I don't like that. I don't
well,
have
right
it.
now, as soon as you get it back and it's working, you'll be happy again.
Yeah. No, I'm happy. It's resting. It's resting at my friend's house in Austin, and I will see how it's feeling. You know, with a new battery. It got a new 12-volt battery, which, by the way, is embarrassing that the electric cars have to have a 12-volt battery. But I think it's by law.
I mean, I've had to replace that on one of our Teslas before too. Like, you have to like start it up.
Yeah. All right. Listen, we're almost at the end of the live stream. We can't answer obviously all questions, but it sounds like we kind of gathered a pretty good crowd on a Friday
definitely.
almost night.
Yeah.
What are the things that you? Because we still have 2 days here with the show. Anything in particular you're going to check out before?
I mean, Lordstown Motor, I really want to go check out. I want to go check out Volkswagen. I haven't seen. I mean, those are 2 major ones I want to go see. I'm kind of jealous that you're gonna go drive some of these.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna drive the EQXS.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I said, it's a cool thing to do, but it's not what the car is going to be like. So any reporting on what
it's still fun though.
It is.
It's
fun.
still fun.
Yeah,
It's still fun. Next time I come here, I feel like I'm gonna try to set up a little bit more of those. I didn't even know what I was getting myself really into. I felt like before I came here, it was kind of a last minute. Oh, I should go to CES this year. Type of thing. So
do you think you're gonna come back next year?
I think I will. I think I will. I might do it. I think I'm gonna have more of a game plan though, of like, okay, I'm gonna see like these 5 things. That's gonna be my focus, because you kind of get overwhelmed, and there's so many people here. I guess it hasn't been like this in the past, but you go to a booth and then like to even talk to someone, you're waiting for like 20 minutes, and you know.
Well, with our we don't have our with our media badges, we don't really have to wait as long or at all sometimes, but still, it is just. I don't think people realize how humongous this damn thing is.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Listen, one more time, tell people how they can find you and what can we expect, let's say in the next few weeks from your channel.
Again, my channel is called Kim Java, which is my name. And I know I have another video, kind of a post CES video coming out. I have a video about Togg, another video about Togg coming out. I'm going to do something about the loop here. I have some electric bike videos I'm going to be doing as well. And, you know, hopefully I'll get a little like family road trip in there as well too.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to continue watching your channel. I think my audience will love it as well. It was really fun hanging out with you.
This was fun.
I haven't done a live stream with somebody who's actually physically next to me. It's usually been on Zoom. So this is a new experience for me as well.
In person.
I know.
COVID's sort of over. So
Sort of, yes. We'll find out what happens after this, right? So, all right. Well, thanks for joining me. I'm excited. We're gonna have more.
All right. Thanks for having me.
And
cheers.
Turkish goodies.
All right, I know they keep bringing us like little boxes.
We have a stack.
There's
like,
a lot of these.
They keep bringing us every live stream. So.
You guys don't see like behind the channel. They're just coming, bringing us hats and goodies. And
it's been really cool. All right, guys, we're gonna repost this obviously as always. Looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged. Cheers. One more time.